everyone. I wanted to pop on here and say hello. Whenever I do a Facebook Live, for some reason it dims the lighting, but I think you guys can see, well, it's just me. And I just wanted to pop on here and talk a little bit about the astrology for this week and going into the beginning of next week. I know that I've been really affected by the astrology, well, just like what's happening energetically, which is the astrology, which is the energetics, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, you know? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the Mercury Retrograde that's happening right now, and then also reflect that I have a blog post that if you're interested in reading more about the Mercury Retrograde, you can definitely go on there. I'm going to be saying a lot because right now my Neptune, my natal Neptune, which a lot of us actually of my age group have your natal Neptune in Sagittarius. So when all this stuff is conjunct that natal Neptune, it's a beautiful thing, but it's a spacey thing. And it's very difficult sometimes to find words and to express yourself clearly when Mercury's retrograde directly over your natal Neptune. So if you're wondering and you're about my age group, which I'll let you just figure that out, or if you have your chart and you can look at it, then you know that maybe that's what's happening for you too. The beautiful thing about that is this is really a time to get into your visionary, your artsy, your imaginative brain and really pull out this kind of record, this DNA, this framework, this blueprint for the next few years. Because as Saturn moves into Capricorn, it's really not a time to do that inspiration. It's really not a time to do that visionary. It's not going to be a big fire time. Right now is the big fire time. So we have 7 planets or astral bodies in fire signs. And with this new moon that we're going to have on December 18th, in 26 degrees of Sagittarius, we have the sun, we have the moon, and then we have it conjunct Saturn, we have it conjunct Venus, and then we also have Mercury right there, almost conjunct with that. So that's a lot of Sagittarius energy and a lot of fire energy. And then not only that, but we have Uranus, which is also influenced here, and it's kind of trining this whole thing. And Uranus is in Aries, and that's sudden changes. And so when we think of sudden changes to our identity, to the way that we think of who we are, that's all conjunct with this new moon. So it's really an opportunity to dream up and to visualize and to get very passionate and visionary about where you want to see yourself go. Because as Saturn comes into Capricorn, we'll have less, maybe a little bit less of the passion and inspiration coming through, especially after, this first little bit of the year, we will have a little bit more of that fire, and the North Node still in Leo. But we want to use this time wisely, and this is really not a time to take action. It's really not a time to move forward or start something new. It's a time to kind of get a new framework in our brain and this blueprint and this idea and the start of just something simmering. Or if you've already started something, it's really reorganizing it in our brain and really getting into a place of how we want to feel and how we want to be and how we want to show our passions. Because this is a really important time to tune into that. As we move forward and Saturn is into Capricorn, which I'm going to do a whole separate thing on, which is soon to come, we're going to have a lot more discipline, and it can feel a little bit heavy. And typically we're going to feel that heaviness at the beginning. When it ingresses in, we'll feel more of that heaviness. So this is a week to uplift, inspire, be in a good place, so that when that happens, we'll be more prepared. We'll have our passions all written out, so we can be like, okay, now I'm feeling disciplined. I can get out that list, and I can remember that I wanted to work on this, and this is going to make me happy, so I'm going to do a little bit more work on it. Okay, so this is the week to make the list. This is the week to get inspired. This is the week to tune in. I also talked about, I did just a really short Instagram live just to tell people that I'm doing the Facebook Live. And I was saying, get out and get in a hike, get out in nature, because there is so much fire and water and not a lot of earthing energy out there right now. And so we want to get into the earth, we want to get inspired, and we want to tap into those roots and to our connection to the earth so that we remember to stay grounded. And it can be a little bit so much kind of manic energy and excited energy that it can almost be depressing because you're not getting a lot done, or it can be a little bit kind of ADD energy, especially with the holidays. I mean, it's not necessarily just that, it's also what's happening energetically. But globally, collectively, right now, there is just a lot of kind of things changing, turmoil, and people feel that instability, and that can also add to that. Things changing so quickly, I don't know where to find footing. So find your own footing, find your own grounding, whatever it is that's going to ground you this week, because it's going to help you. I wanted to talk a little bit about the new moon, and I wanted to go over house by house because I think it's really interesting, because this is a really powerful new moon to do that inspiration work and to look at what house it's calling to you. And the way to do this is if you have your chart, you can get your chart out. If you don't have your chart and you've gotten a chart reading with me before and you don't have your chart, please message me. You should have a chart from a chart reading from whoever you got one from. So if you haven't ever had a chart reading, it's a great time to do one. You can book with me on my website, abigailbarella.com. Or you can just look up your chart for free at just Google free natal chart, and then you'll get a bunch of different options, and you can find your chart that way as well. It really helps to know your birth time if you know your birth time, because that'll help you with the house selection. Depending on what time you were born, it's gonna change it all. So also looking at what natal planets you have in Sagittarius, and I have a lot of Sagittarius friends. Hello out there, all my Sagittarius sun sign, and also just like tons of Sag energy. This is obviously going to be a new moon that's going to be making you a little bit more busy. It's going to be really important for you to set intention if you have more planets in Sagittarius, okay? So I think I talked about all the different planets that are in Sagittarius transiting right now, and then if you have natal planets there, that's going to add influence. So I talked about Neptune. Neptune is the more spiritual, can be foggy, can be dreamy. The dreams are going to be heightened. Really writing down your dreams, paying attention to your dreams is really important. And just looking at for you personally what's coming through. This is also very close to the galactic center. We have Saturn in 29 degrees of Sagittarius right there in the galactic center, and then we have the sun and moon right there as well. And with the galactic center, I talked about this in my last video. It's like your connection to the galaxy. It's like your nature as a galactic being. And so you often will, at this time period for the next week, get big aha moments, tapping into your own belief system and how it might be shifting and changing. I know that for me personally, my idea of spirituality and God is kind of shifting a little bit. It's not that it's totally changing. If your moon is in Sagittarius, that's a really big time for you. So your moon in Sagittarius is your emotional center. It's how you process and how you find your own emotional center. So for you, having your natal moon and then the transiting moon right over that, it's going to be a really good time for you to have aha moments or connection to how you need to process your emotions to feel more healthy, depending what house it's in. That can also be dependent on that. So thank you for asking that. Moon in Sagittarius, you might be really interested in traveling a little bit more or finding, a new way of learning. So it's important to kind of tap into what house that's in and what other things are in relationship to that. So when that galactic center is lit up and opened up, it's really important for you to ground yourself and to also do that visionary work, to do the connection and meditation to the higher self. And I was just talking about like things might shift for you. You might have this kind of awakening or this aha moment. I know I had that come up this last week, and it's really I'm having a lot of like unfurling to the unconscious mind and things coming up and through for me to process. And so it's a really good time to journal and to take notes. It's a good time to also, if you can sit by a fire with all the fire energy happening, it's a great time to, you're lucky if you have a wood stove or have a way to do that in your home, but you could also do it outside, and really grounding. So those are the 3 things that I think are most important. And we're all just upgrading. If you're feeling like you need more sleep, if you need to drink more water, you are not alone. This is just a big time of upgrading the system and rebooting. And we know that with Mercury retrograde, it's just a natural time that we're rebooting the system, and to just honor that. Like, instead of getting upset or instead of being frustrated, what would it be like to just totally honor that and to totally surrender to that? I'm an early riser. I typically wake up at 4:30 or 5:30. I get a good chunk of my writing done before my children are up, before I have to do other things or see clients. I've not been doing that. I've been getting up, rolling out of bed this morning, like 7:30, telling the kids like they need to get up too and we have to rush off to school. And instead of being frustrated with myself and looking at what I haven't gotten done, I've been really working at honoring that I need that extra sleep and that there's process work and unconscious work that's happening as I'm sleeping and as I'm resting. So I encourage you to do the same. Where can you honor yourself? Where can you honor your own slowing down so that you can do that process? Because who's to say what is really productive in our world? You know, like, who's to say where the real work happens? And it might happen when you're sleeping. So just honor that if you need more sleep, because typically during Mercury retrograde, it's good to rest. It's a really good time to rest. Okay, so I'm going to go house by house. The new moon is happening on December 18th. It's a good time to set intention. So looking at what house it's in for you is going to depend where you may want to set more intention, okay? So this is the new moon, and it's also the Mercury retrograde. Now, the Mercury retrograde is moving a little bit differently, so it might be that it's in 2 houses. So you want to look at that too. So the new moon is at 26 degrees of Sagittarius, so that's what house you're going to want to look at. And the glyph for Sagittarius, if you have a color chart, typically it's red, and it's the sign of the archer, so it looks like an arrow. And maybe I can post a picture in the comments for you guys, because I would like to get more visual aids in my videos to explain this better, so I'll post it in the comments. So that's Sagittarius. You want to look at where that is, 26 degrees of that. By the time we get to the new moon, Mercury will be in 15 degrees. So you also want to look at that, because that's big too. Okay, so new moon in your first house, if it's happening in your first house, this is around your identity. And if Mercury is also there, it's around shifting your ideas and your consciousness around your identity. So you want to honor whatever's coming up for you. Possibly you want to get a haircut. Possibly you want to do something different with your identity. Maybe you're redoing, if you have a website or something, around the way that you show up in the world. Maybe you're, doing something different. So honoring if something's coming up around shifting your identity. Second house is resources and security and finances, your personal finances. So if you have the new moon happening in your second house, you want to set intention around this. So you can use this week to come up with some ideas of where you want to see changes and where you want to see new visions in terms of your finances and your security. And again, just because it's not happening in a certain house doesn't mean you can't set intention there, but I'm just saying it has more oomph if the new moon's happening in that house. Third house is around your communication. It also can be around your inner community, so siblings, cousins. It can be your neighbors, and so you might be coming up with intention around the way that you communicate with people, the way that you interact with people, and that might be a really good time to utilize that energy. The fourth house is the home, but it's also how we find home personally on this planet. It doesn't necessarily just mean your physical home, although it can, and you can use it to maybe manifest some inspiration and some changes and some passions in the home. But it can also mean just how you feel at home, and so it might have to do with emotional security around feeling at home and feeling like you can be honored in your full emotional landscape and not have to hide away. The fifth house is Leo's house, and it's creativity. It's also having the courage to put your creative endeavors out there. So you might find intention setting around being more courageous, finding that inner muse or finding that muse out in the world. This also can be romance. So not necessarily long-term relationship, but romance or new friendships. It also is just however you find inspiration, sometimes through your children or whatever. So the fifth house is creativity, the house of creativity and creation. 6th house is work and daily routines, daily rhythms, and your personal health. So if the new moon's happening for you here and Mercury is here too, you really might be finding yourself processing and looking at what isn't working for you and wanting to set intention around what is. You might want to also set intention around how you want to feel in your day-to-day and what kind of things help you feel that way. The 7th house is relationships, partnership, business partnership. If you're in business with someone, you are basically work married. So you want to look at setting intention around that relationship, around balance, and around how to best get your needs met. So definitely setting intention there if you're having the new moon or Mercury in that house. 8th house, death and transformation. And so you might be finding something that you need to let go of, something that needs to die in your life. This could be as simple as a certain relationship. It could be as simple as maybe an aspect of your work that's not working for you anymore. You want to do something different. And this is also the house of rebirth and transformation and the phoenix rising from the ashes. So it's definitely important to do, if you have Sagittarius in your 8th house, you want to set intention this next week before December 18th to really get the most out of that. And then 9th house is learning, higher learning. It also can be spirituality. You might find that you want to set intention around a spiritual practice that you'd like to do. I love the artist way. You might find that you want to start doing the artist way or some kind of program or some kind of discipline to bring to your life during this time to help you set intention and help you grow. So 9th house is learning. It's also teaching. So you might find that you want to set intention around something that you'd like to teach to others. And the 10th house is work in the world, where you kind of show up and have your vocation. And so you want to set intention around maybe some goal setting, some new aspect that's going to come through to help you put what you want out there into the world. 11th house is community. It also can be leadership and community. This can be, friendships in that larger circle. So the 3rd house, we talked about that inner circle. The 11th house, we talked about that bigger circle of the larger community and what you're going to share and how you're going to interact with that larger community. And it also is just how you can contribute. So looking at setting intention there, if you have Sagittarius there, especially Sagittarius just is the teacher archetype, and so that just kind of influences all of the houses wherever it's at. And the 12th house, if you have the new moon or Mercury retrograde happening here, is around your ability to tap into the unconscious, to tap into we say that the conscious mind is about 10% of the brain and the unconscious mind is about 90% of the brain. So if you have the new moon happening here, you're definitely going to have aha moments around your ability to tap into the collective, your ability to tap into your own intuitive abilities, your psychic abilities, but also it can be, if you don't know what to do with those, it can be a little bit scary, or things can come up where you're like, how did I know that? Or what's happening? I had a dream about this. I'm having lots of deja vu. That's a time to reach out to me. Again, my website is abigailbarella.com, and I can help you with all that nonsense. It's not nonsense, but I can help you with that. So let's see. So that's a house overview for the new moon. I want to remind you that anytime that the new moon is happening close to the galactic center, conjunct Saturn, when Saturn is about to leave the sign, it's going to be a big time. And you really want to use this inspiration wisely. You really want to, keep track. Again, I keep the thing that's coming through again and again is just like this blueprint, like the ability to recreate your whole blueprint for what you thought this world was, how you thought the world worked, how you thought institutions worked, and like teachers and those people that we thought were helpers. It might be shifting a little bit. You might be kind of getting aha and realization, so that when Saturn moves into Capricorn, we have an idea of how things really work so that we can get the work done. And there's a lot more. I'm going to talk more about Saturn moving into Capricorn. But for right now, I think the biggest thing to know is this is a huge time for manifestation. This is a huge time for inspiration, and you don't want to waste it. So do not be hard on yourself for not getting a lot done. This is really not a time for it. It's a time to just sit with yourself, sit with your, whoever you're co-creating with, and just dream and inspire yourself to really move forward, because, there's been a lot happening in the world collectively that is disheartening and sad, but we are here for a reason, and we are these inspirational beings, and it's really important to us to stick to that dream and to stick to that hope, because ultimately that's why we're here, and we're here to bring our visions into being. So right now is just a time to work with the visions, work with your passions, work with why you're really here. And so for that reason, I think this is a great time to work with me in doing intuitive healing work, because the chart's important, but the intuitive healing work, my biggest asset on this planet, I think, is to really help people see what they're gifted in, and to help them do the things that I can't personally do. So that's my gift to you guys. So if you want to get more insight into your gifts and your strengths and how you can really show up and get bigger in whatever it is that you're meant to do in this life, the best way to do that is to work with me. So definitely reach out. If you just start tuning in, go back and watch. I did a house by house. If you have your chart and you have no idea how to read it, and even after me explaining it, and I'm going to post the glyph for Sagittarius, just email me. I do not mind if you have your chart, me showing you where Sagittarius is, which house it is in for you. Let's see, what else? I have something brewing for 2018 that's going to be a class for you guys to do your own planning based on your chart, and that's going to be really helpful moving into 2018 when we have Saturn moving into Capricorn, and we have a lot of other earth things happening. We have Uranus moving into Taurus in the spring. So there's a lot of things happening that is going to be helpful for you for planning, because I know so many people are inspired right now to know how to work with those energies. So that's to come. There was one more thing that I wanted to tell you before I go, but I don't know where it is. Yeah, just the fire. I just want to say this one more time. So the fire is big right now. We have the element of fire, and that's passion and inspiration. We have Uranus in Aries, and that's going to be shifting out. So this is like really the last time that we're having this very this trine, this fire trine that is lit up, that it's really this last little like, okay, yeah, remember you're doing like good work, and you need to keep having ideas, and you need to keep being inspired. So it's kind of this last little push so that we can do the big work in 2018. So I just want to remind you to use that inspiration wisely, and to sit and meditate and be with yourself, and really know that you are worthy of bringing your gifts to the planet, because we need them right now. Dun, 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 dun. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.